12 years ago, we had flown to Virginia to meet with the parents to see if they would be willing to let a movie be made, which at the time looked like it was going to happen, and then in a very last-minute way did not. Billy, Chris McCandless's mother, had a dream that her son told her not to make a movie. My attitude at the time, and still is, was that, you know, if I didn't respect dreams, I wouldn't make movies. I never thought that it wouldn't happen.
Less than 2 years ago, gets this phone call out of the blue from Walt McCandless, Chris's dad, saying, "We've decided we're ready to make the movie." And I called Sean, and I was like, "Sean, I don't know if you remember, but, you know, John Krakauer, we talked about Into the Wild, you still interested?" And he was like this 3-second stunned silence, then, "Yeah." I mean, he was like, no, you know, he was ready.
Just months into the period of time, once they had made a decision to go forward with the movie, I lost my own brother. And that changed the way that I felt able to and responsible to communicate. And I think in many ways that made it easier on both sides. This was not foreign territory so much as it had been, and I wasn't a trespasser quite so much as I potentially had been before.
Are they ready? Let's go for it.
When he came down to the river on July 5th, 1992, we decided he'd been in for 70 days. He'd accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He lived off the land. He was ready to go home. And he's got this euphoria. He's thinking about the stories he's going to tell. So to come to the river and realize, fuck, I can't get out. He's just got to go back and just reset his whole attitude of like, okay, I'm going to have to wait a month or two for the river to go down.
That's cold enough that, well, that's it. That's as far as I go. His legs are done.
People don't get it. He didn't even have a fucking map. What kind of idiot? That was the point. There's no blank spots on the map anymore, anywhere on Earth. You want a blank spot on the map, you gotta leave the map behind.
I'm looking forward to seeing the bus again. I'm interested in checking in with myself out there and having a White Russian. And to do it with John.
There's a big mine 30 miles down the road, and they originally built this road to serve that mine, and these 3 buses were flown in to just serve as temporary shelter for the people building the road, and it was abandoned pretty much in the mid-60s after they built it. And they flew out the other 2 buses, but they left one of them in there as a shelter in moose season in the fall for hunters. And that's why it was there when Chris stumbled upon it. I haven't been to the bus, I think, since 97 or 98. It's a very, sacred is too strong a word, especially for someone who's not religious, but it has this kind of feeling and spirituality. To walk in the first time was very spooky, and it had this overpowering smell of dead birds. And what it was under this bed here was plastic bags full of feathers of birds he'd killed. It looked like he just stepped out, was out hunting for the afternoon. You felt like you were intruding. A lot of this is still Chris's stuff. His pot, his coffee pot, his canteen, these water purification tablets and thread. All this was here when we first came here 15 years ago. But these are his pants. These are the patches he made before he walked out. Belt's gone. It seems like by end of June, he was really doing well. He was getting a lot of game, collecting a lot of mushrooms, berries, Eskimo potato. You know, that photo of him sitting in the chair in front of the bus where he's got this big shit-eating grin on his face. That's what life was like. He was digging it, no doubt. When he was in real trouble, last week or two of his life, he went out one last time to look for blueberries, and he stuck a stick in the door, tied this to it, and had the note right on this stick, saying SOS, this is not a joke. He wasn't this misanthrope who just was, fuck the world, it's all evil, I just want to go live by myself. That wasn't it. He was here for a reason. He wasn't running away forever. It was this adventure. It was to prove himself.
And the way he wrote about his own travels was sometimes like he was imagining the movie of his life already.
Absolutely. Yeah. He inscribed this in black Sharpie on this piece of plywood that used to be there. He died right where Sean is sitting.
2 years he walks the earth. No phone, no pool, no pets, no cigarettes. Ultimate freedom, an extremist, an aesthetic voyager whose home is the road. Escape from Atlanta, thou shalt not return, 'cause the West is the best. 10 days and nights of freight trains and hitchhiking bring him to the great white north. No longer to be poisoned by civilization, he flees and walks alone upon the land to become lost in the wild. May 1992.
Like Chris, when I was a year younger than him when he died, I was 23, I decided to test myself in what I thought would be the hardest thing that I could imagine doing and survive. And something that, not just hard, but scary. Something that just both fascinated me and scared the shit out of me, and that was to climb a particular mountain that I'd been looking at in photographs of since I was 8 years old, a mountain called the Devil's Thumb in Alaska. And by the time I was 23, I decided I would try to climb it by a new route by myself. Then I very nearly died. And it was way more reckless and stupid than what Chris did. But I got lucky, and I climbed this thing, and I survived. So that's why I have a great deal of sympathy for Chris.
When I was 13, I went to the North Shore of Oahu and surfed 8 to 10 foot pipeline. And I remember my father was on the beach. And last thing in the world they wanted me to do was to go out there, because when the wave sucks out, it gets 3 or 4 feet deep is all it is over the coral. And there's some pretty serious coral heads down there. And I remember taking off on that first wave and looking down and seeing that coral. And it's hard to imagine seeing it today the same way, because some of this has to do with exercising that courage when you've really got it. And some of that is in youth, because there wasn't a prettier sight in the world than that coral when I was coming down then. And when I've gone out since then, and there's more caution, and caution can be something that keeps you alive, and it can also be a disease. And somehow I think that's why you want to keep testing yourself to some degree, so you don't lose that kind of connection with things and with your own abilities. And sometimes I think the difference between a good parent and a bad parent is the luck the kid has. You're a great parent if you encourage them to live life and be passionate and to be brave and all of that. And you're a bad parent if the one time they're doing it, they go off just wrong on their neck or something like that. And you just have to get up and learn how to be a parent again every day in a way.